Good evening, everybody. This is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero in another Monday morning video, even though I'm recording this at night. It is a beautiful night right now. It's 68 degrees here. It is completely clear. You can see the sky behind me, completely clear outside, but the wind is really cranking up right now. All right, so back inside the apartment here, let's head on over to the computer screen and let's take a quick look at some things from today and for the week ahead. All right, so on the computer screen here, we are seeing, I know we're actually recording the computer screen right now. This tornado warning came from, very interestingly, outside of any of the SPC readings. There was no marginal risk, no enhanced, anything like that. It was just in the general thunderstorm area of the SPC outlook. Also, when I looked through this before too, there was really nothing indicating anything tornadic. This is Grand Junction in Colorado. Very mountainy, high base up there. So you would think mountains don't really produce or are good for tornadoes. They can happen anywhere. And this is proof in this mountainy, kind of higher elevation area. So a couple things I did here. So the hook. So in the radar scope function here, I just drew kind of right down the center of where I see the hook right there. And then just drew the arrow. And then what this does with the quad panes in radar scope, when I draw right there, it mirrors the drawing on all of the other quadrants. So when I follow this around the hook, we can then see on the velocity right there, there's some shear going on. So right inside the tornado warning, there could be something right in there. I didn't plan on that arrow pointing inside that shear graph right there, but I just followed the center line there. So definitely some shear that was inside there. The other thing that's interesting on the correlation coefficient, and I drew this specifically, besides the hook, there's this little colored area. This could be a debris ball. So the correlation coefficient, as I mentioned last week, basically what that says is how uniform the atmosphere is in there in terms of everything is the same size particle. So if you have a bunch of rain, all the raindrops are going to be the same size. So that's where you get this kind of purple color. That means everything's uniform there. When you get all of this other color, that means you're getting varying sizes of particles. That could also mean hail and rain together. Because rain's small, hail, say a baseball size hail, that could cause a signature like that, but it's not usually where that is. The hail core is in a different spot. Now this, it kind of does look like a debris ball right inside there. So that means if that is a debris ball, that is a confirmed tornado on the ground that is causing damage and is lifting debris up into the air. That's on the correlation coefficient. And then on the hydrometeor classification, you can kind of see, so right here, the debris ball, if we look at the point of the arrow, it's in front of it, like if you go directly in front. So if I go to the point of the arrow there and go directly in front, there's no red right there. The red is here, which is normally where you would see a hail core in this hook pattern. You got some red there and some red there. That's where the hail would be. Hail wouldn't really be right there where this signature is. So this looks like it is a debris ball. I thought that was pretty interesting to show. All right, so now on to the week ahead. So right now, it is 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. So that means it's 1:30 a.m. on the East Coast if you're watching from there. Air quality alert. Now, this is because we have some very hot weather coming in into the New York City area there. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation's air quality health advisory for the following counties: New York, Bronx, Kings, Queens, Richmond, Westchester, and Rockland County. All until 11 p.m. today, as of this posting of the video. The air quality, I don't see air quality index values of 100 for pollutants of ground level ozone. So 100 is kind of where I start feeling some issues breathing. Once it gets over 100 or more. Not like 2 years ago when the sky went orange and the air quality index went over 400 there. But this is still not a good air quality day, so maybe not a day to do any kind of strenuous activity. That's the air quality alert here. And that ties into here from the National Weather Service themselves what to expect today, Monday, May 18th, 2026. 80s to low 90s for New York City Metro and lower Hudson Valley. Mid 70s to low 80s for coastal areas because you have the marine layer effect. Sunny and dry, mainly east, 5 to 10 miles per hour, maybe 5 to 15 for the miles per hour for the winds in the afternoon. Not too bad. They also threw in the almanac here. Average is 72. Record high is 92 in 2017. So it is definitely going to be above average in some areas there. This is what to expect in terms of temperatures for today, and it's going to be a hot one. Now going to the other coast, San Francisco. We're not seeing warm temperatures, but you saw in the beginning of the video, windy. The wind started tonight, and those winds are really kicking up right now. Right here, red flag warning. This entire area. And inside the red flag warning remains in effect until 8 p.m. Pacific time. Monday for gusty winds and low relative humidities for San Joaquin Valley and the west side hills along the coastal range. So, windy conditions, dry conditions. So even if you just are driving down the road and throw a cigarette butt out the window, it can spark something. So you have to be very responsible with any kind of embers out there. So that is what is happening on the West Coast and specifically the San Francisco Bay Area. All right, now for the center part of the country. We are seeing, it says day 2 because today that you're seeing this video is yesterday on Sunday, not today, which is Monday. But we are seeing a moderate risk right here. Now, we had those tornadoes yesterday with the Storm Prediction Center focusing right there. Now, this area in Colorado is still in the general thunderstorm activity. That's what they said for yesterday. But we got a tornado warning out of it. But we still got a lot of activity, like that radar. And Sioux Falls had one of the first radars indicated tornadoes from yesterday. And that was right in their target area. So this could be the target area for today. All right. Nothing on the tropics, but I wanted to show you one thing real quick, which is they updated their interface. Now, I don't know if they just made it because now we're getting closer to hurricane season. I'm not saying there's anything on the horizon, but at least the interface changed. So here we have 3 regions to choose from in a 2-day, which gives you satellite, and a 7-day forecast. So no tropical cyclone activity for the next 7 days. Atlantic. Here's what Pacific looks like, which is a nice little map there. And you get lines of latitude and longitude on here. And then Central Pacific, there's Hawaii. And there is California. So we are seeing much better representation here instead of just, usually Central Pacific was just text. Now it's on a map, which is great. So I do like that. This is going to be good to use once we get to that time of the year. All right. Oh, and drought real quick. I just wanted to say, so California pretty much is not in any drought right now. Abnormally dry for some areas there. New Jersey has more drought conditions than California right now, but the southeast and the Central Plains area. Quite a bit of drought going on. Okay, taking a look at the satellite. So again, this is last night, Sunday night. But what I want to show you is this mass right here. That mass is what's going to be triggering more severe weather as it continues to move pretty slowly, either due east or a little bit of like east-southeast. So it's going to move slowly, and that's triggering some things out there. So now on the tropical tidbits here, the good old GFS, we're going to go. There's not too much to talk about, but starting on the East Coast, for Monday, we're seeing here, it's showing a little sprinkle going on in the morning hours. I'm not 100% sure about that, but high pressure is cycling through everything here. Southerly flow, that's where we're getting the really warm weather, or hot weather, I'll say. We're getting the really hot weather. And that stays in place until, looks like 6Z Wednesday. So this is Wednesday morning through Wednesday. Not a lot happening here, but this is a cold front. And this cold front probably will break some of the heat, it looks like. Then going to Thursday, we have a high coming down from Canada. So now that's going to bring in cooler weather to transition from the very hot weather to a little bit cooler, maybe more seasonable. We'll get to that in a second. And then going through Friday, there's really nothing much until, looks like Saturday could be another more southerly part of the Northeast, but some more showers later in the day, Saturday. Now, rewinding here for the central part, there's what I was talking about that was on the satellite. This is going to fire up in two phases here. Looks like here's a phase and here's a phase. This one really looks like it blossomed. But what's interesting is this same system that could bring more tornadoes into Tornado Alley could bring some interesting snow going into Canada. I'm still talking about snow in late May right now. All right. So continuing on from that, there's the front that brought the colder air, or the cooler air, I should say, back to the Northeast. That kind of clears out some areas that were seeing severe weather, but then it kind of moves south a little bit. Texas, Louisiana could see a little bit of stormy action. But then as we keep going, it looks like nothing really spins up too much. Maybe just a little spot of some thunderstorms right there for Saturday. Then going into Sunday, really nothing much, just some spotty showers there. And the last thing I'll just mention real quick, if you look at California here, pretty much most of the West Coast, I'm just going to play through this. Look, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing's going on. And I went beyond the 7-day forecast they usually do, but not calm, but clear air. What I will say, though, is with all this action happening in the center part of the country, look at this isobar gradient. Very high pressure gradient there. That's the winds we were seeing, because there's a high pressure off into the into the Pacific here. And that pressure gradient between the lows and the highs is causing an increase or tightening of the isobars. Very windy conditions throughout pretty much. Looks like this entire week is going to be a little gusty for the West Coast. And that's kind of what most of these models were saying too. So I'm just showing you the GFS right now just for time's sake. But understand that all the models were very aligned on this. Now the last thing I'll show you here, temperatures starting in the Northeast or New York City area for Newark, Islip, and White Plains. We're seeing 89 as a high for today, 94 for Tuesday, 88 Wednesday, and then 71. That's that cold front I was mentioning before between there. So not a heat wave, but we're seeing just a couple of degrees off of 90 degrees. So even though it's not an official heat wave, it'll feel like a heat wave. And then, there we go. That was Newark going down to Islip here. We have 80, 86, 81, 67. So more marine influence, a little cooler, but still in the low 80s to the mid 80s. So it's going to be hot no matter what. I don't know why that keeps happening. All right, a little bit more inland then on White Plains here. 83, 88, 79, 66. So Tuesday definitely looks like it's going to be the hottest day. Going up north, more inland for Albany here. 89, 92, 78. There's no marine influence up in Albany. So even though it's more north, so cooler temperatures, you're not getting any cooling effect from the ocean or bodies of water. That's why you're getting 89 and 92 degrees there. And then for Boston, let's see, 71, 93, 87. So a little bit cooler on Monday compared to the rest, but still low 90s for Tuesday. So that heat wave is still really going. All right, and then the last one I'll show you here is now temperatures on the West Coast. So we are having here SFO. So we are having 83, 82, 72, 70. Climo is 69. So a warmer day. I would call above 80 warm. Really, 85 is my cutoff where it becomes hot. So that's almost hot, but it's warm. Then 82 and 72, and that's where it cools down a little bit. So we're probably getting some pretty windy conditions here. Let's see those. Yeah, just clear. That's pretty much it. Just very clear conditions. As we were seeing, there's a high pressure off to the west of the West Coast in the Pacific Ocean, causing that pressure gradient. So we are going to be dealing with windy conditions, but clear conditions. And the last one here, KSJC, which is the next nearby airport, which is actually closer to me than San Francisco, which is San Jose. So San Jose's airport is a little bit different because they're inland. There's such a microclimate situation here in the Bay Area. So San Jose is inland. San Francisco is more marine influence. When we bring this up, we're seeing 89, 86, 81, 78, 76, 70, all pretty much this entire, Climo is 77. Keep that in mind. So 77 is the average temperature for this time of the year, which is the highest one I've seen so far. So we're above average by at least 10 degrees. At least 10 degrees above average. Above average. Almost on average there. And basically on average the rest of the week, and then it gets a little cooler going into the weekend. But everywhere it looks like is going to be a hot start to the week. Today and Tuesday, tomorrow, looks like it's going to be the hottest day for these couple of areas that I looked at. All right, so that is going to be a wrap for this video. All right, so that was a quick little look at the week ahead, or not really quick. This is maybe a 20-minute video. But I hope you enjoyed. And also, it looks like there's a pattern I've been seeing of tornadic severe weather on the weekends happening. I've also seen, and this is mentioned on other videos I've watched, that Tornado Alley is actually shifting east from the standard Tornado Alley. And with that eastward shift, there's a lot more tornadoes that are nocturnal or nighttime tornadoes, which are very dangerous because you cannot see them at all. The only time you could see them is when they're on top of you. So that could be a research paper itself. Otherwise, that is it. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure, especially now that we're in the severe weather season, tornado season, especially in the central part of the country there, to get your emergency communication radio from bettersaferadio.com. Feel free to use my affiliate link below. I get a small kickback. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps you get a good quality radio that is pre-programmed with National Weather Service or NOAA weather radio frequencies. And it's a ham or GMS or GMRS radio, so you can use that in emergency situations as well. All right, everybody, this is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you all in that next video.